He was one interview away from his dream job. A soaked suit, a resume in hand, and a future hanging by a thread. But when he stopped to help a stranger with a flat tire, he had no idea that stranger owned the company he was racing toward. This is the story of how one selfless decision changed everything. Ethan Brooks adjusted his tie for the 5th time, staring at the streaky mirror in the tiny bathroom of his Airbnb. At 24, he was used to surviving on minimum wage jobs, but today felt different, like the day everything might change. His navy blue suit wasn't designer, but it was clean, pressed, and paid for with months of tips from late-night shifts at a diner back home in Chicago. His shoes shined, his resume tucked inside a leather portfolio he'd bought second-hand but polished like it was worth a fortune. Today was the day. His interview with Green and Miles Capital, one of the most prestigious investment firms on Wall Street. The kind of firm that didn't usually look twice at state college grads with no Ivy League pedigree. But somehow, Ethan had made it through to the final round. He'd circled the date on his phone's calendar in bold red. Ethan checked. The weather app. Light rain. No problem. He had planned everything down to the minute. Leave by 7:30, catch the E train downtown, arrive by 8:45, take a deep breath, and walk into the office like he belonged there. As he locked the door and stepped out into the busy Manhattan morning, clouds loomed above, like something was coming. Still, his heart beat with hope. By the time Ethan exited the subway near Wall Street, the sky had cracked open like a dropped glass. Rain didn't fall. It attacked. He pulled his coat over his head, shielding his portfolio like it was made of gold. Streets flooded fast. Taxis honked wildly. Pedestrians scattered under scaffolding and store awnings. Ethan kept going. He couldn't let a little rain ruin his only shot. Green and Miles was just 6 blocks away. He could almost see the glint of its 60-story glass tower rising in the distance. But the storm wasn't letting up. His socks were soaked. A delivery truck splashed an entire gutter's worth of rainwater onto his legs. His perfect morning was unraveling fast. He paused under a store awning to check his phone. 8:27 a.m. Still time. Barely. As he neared the final stretch, drenched, cold, but still holding hope, he heard a voice. Damn thing. Won't budge. Ethan turned. On the side of the road, a sleek black Lincoln Continental sat crooked, its front tire completely flat. Standing beside it was an older man in his late 60s, silver hair soaked, hands fumbling with a jack that clearly wasn't cooperating. He looked out of place in the storm. No driver, no umbrella, no help. Ethan's first instinct was to keep walking. His eyes flicked between the grand entrance of Green and Miles ahead and the struggling man behind him. His watch read 8:47 a.m. 13 minutes until his interview. He took a shaky breath. Then his father's voice echoed in his mind. A phrase he'd grown up hearing again and again. Character is who you are when no one's watching. And just like that, Ethan turned back towards the man. Ethan jogged up, water sloshing in his shoes. The man was on one knee beside the car, trying to force the jack into position beneath the axle. His coat, likely once very expensive, was drenched and sagged off his shoulders. "Excuse me, sir," Ethan called over the downpour. "Need a hand?" The man looked up, startled. Rain dripped from his eyebrows. "God, yes. I thought I could manage this myself, but this jack's not cooperating. Driver's off today. Just my luck." Ethan set his soaked leather portfolio inside the back seat of the car, hoping it wouldn't be ruined completely. He shrugged off his blazer and laid it on the wet sidewalk to kneel on. "Let me try." "You sure?" the man asked, watching him with raised eyebrows. Ethan smiled, though his heart was racing. "Yeah, I used to work summers at my uncle's repair shop. I've done this a few times." The man stepped back. "You're a blessing, kid." The jack was rusted and stubborn, but Ethan worked quickly. The water poured down his back, soaking his white shirt until it clung to his skin. His tie was a wet string around his neck. His once polished shoes looked like they'd been through a swamp. Still, he focused. Lifted the car, removed the lug nuts, swapped the spare, tightened everything. "Down. You shouldn't be out here alone in this kind of weather," Ethan said, breathing heavily. The man chuckled. "You sound like my wife." "I mean it. You could have slipped." "Well, I haven't missed a day at the office in 42 years. Not about to let a little rain ruin that streak." Ethan tightened the last lug nut and checked his watch. 9:12 a.m. His heart dropped. He was already late, and still a block and a half away. "You're all set," Ethan said, standing and wiping his hands on his ruined pants. The man gave him a grateful smile. "Thank you, young man. What's your name?" "Ethan. Ethan Brooks." "Well, Ethan, you're a good man. You look like you were on your way somewhere important." Ethan gave a tired smile. "Interview at Green and Miles?" "Was, I guess." The man blinked. "Green and Miles? The investment firm?" "Yeah." Ethan nodded. "I've been prepping for months, but I couldn't just walk past you." A pause. "I'll give you a ride," the man said quickly, gesturing toward the car. "It's the least I can do." Ethan hesitated. The damage was likely done, but maybe he could explain. Maybe someone would listen. "Thanks," he said, grabbing his soggy jacket and climbing in. The Lincoln pulled smoothly to a stop in front of the towering skyscraper. Ethan looked up at the glass building, still beautiful despite the storm. The older man smiled at him. "Best of luck, Ethan." Ethan turned to him, genuinely. "Thank you. And I'm glad I stopped. I hope you get to work safe." He reached for the door, then paused. "I'm sorry I missed the interview, but I'd rather help and lose a job than ignore someone who needed me." The old man looked at him quietly, eyes thoughtful. Then he nodded, slowly. "Remember that," he said. "Character shows in the rain." Ethan stepped out of the private elevator, heart pounding. The 60th floor felt like a different world. Silent, carpeted, lined with real art and floor-to-ceiling windows offering sweeping views of Manhattan. An impeccably dressed woman greeted him with a warm smile. "Mr. Brooks?" "I'm Sandra Lee, Mr. Green's executive assistant. Thank you for coming." Ethan shook her hand, still slightly dazed. "Of course, but if I may ask, I'm a little confused about why I was invited. I thought I missed my chance." Sandra smiled mysteriously. "Mr. Green will explain everything. Please follow me." The office was enormous. Sunlight poured in across mahogany furniture and shelves lined with financial books and framed photographs. Facing the window, back turned, stood a tall figure in a tailored gray suit. Sandra announced, "Mr. Green, Mr. Ethan Brooks is here." The figure turned slowly. Ethan's breath caught in his throat. It was him. The man with the flat tire. Only now, he wasn't just an old man in the rain. He was Walter Green, the co-founder and CEO of the very company Ethan had hoped to join. "Hello again, Ethan," Mr. Green said with a knowing smile. "I believe we have a conversation to finish." Ethan stood frozen. You're him?" Green chuckled, walking around his desk. "Guilty. Though I suspect I looked a bit less presentable the last time you saw me." Ethan shook his head, still processing. "Sir, I didn't know. I never would have—" "That's the point," Green interrupted gently. "You didn't know. And yet you stopped. You gave up something incredibly important to help. Someone who, for all you knew, was just an old man stranded in the rain." He gestured to a chair. "Please, sit." Ethan lowered himself into the leather seat, every nerve on edge. Green sat across from him. "Let me tell you a secret. I wasn't trying to test anyone that day. I simply decided to drive myself to the office. A rare whim. And as fate would have it, I got a flat tire on the worst possible day. I was drenched, frustrated. And then You appeared. He opened a drawer and slid out Ethan's water-stained leather portfolio. I took the liberty of looking through this, he said. Your market analysis on Southeast Asian growth sectors? Impressive. Especially for someone just out of college. Ethan swallowed hard. Thank you, sir. But I missed the interview. I thought I'd blown it. Green leaned back. You missed the interview, yes. But what you didn't miss was the moment. The moment that told me exactly who you are. Green stood and walked to the window. I've spent my life building this company, and what I've learned is that intelligence is everywhere, but integrity is rare. We can teach financial modeling. We can't teach character. He turned back to Ethan, eyes serious. That's why I'm offering you a position here. Not as a junior analyst, but as my special assistant. You'll work directly with me. Learn from the top down. Ethan blinked. Your assistant? But sir, I don't have the background, the MBA. Green raised a hand. You have something more valuable. You stopped when it mattered. You made the hard choice. That's the kind of judgment I trust. Ethan leaned forward, stunned. Sir, I don't know what to say. Say yes, Green replied, and be ready to work harder than you ever have. This won't be easy, but it will be worth it. A beat passed. Then Ethan extended his hand. Yes, I accept. Green grinned and shook it. Welcome to Green and Miles, Mr. Brooks. Ethan stood outside the revolving glass doors of Green and Miles, adjusting a brand new navy suit, one that actually fit, paid for, in full, by his signing bonus. He took a deep breath. The security guard at the front desk recognized him instantly. Mr. Brooks, good morning. Welcome back. Ethan smiled. Thank you. It's good to be here. He stepped into the executive elevator, the same one that had carried him to the unexpected meeting just days earlier. This time, he wasn't nervous. He was ready. 5:14 a.m. Ethan's new office Sandra met him at the elevator with a warm smile. Right on time. Mr. Green appreciates punctuality. She handed him a sleek laptop, a company phone, and a folder labeled Confidential, Assistant to CEO. This is your office, she said, gesturing to a glass-walled room just down the hall from Green's. Ethan paused in the doorway. Awestruck, a real desk, floor-to-ceiling windows, a view of the East River, a bookshelf, a coffee machine, all his. He sat down slowly, running his hand over the polished wood. Only a week ago, he'd walked through the rain thinking his dream was over. And now, he was sitting in a room he hadn't dared imagine. 30 CEOs. Office Green glanced up as Ethan entered. Morning, Ethan. Coffee's fresh. They shook hands like old colleagues. For the next few weeks, Green said, you'll be shadowing me. Board meetings, strategy sessions, calls with partners. I want you to absorb everything. Ethan nodded. I'm ready, sir. Green leaned forward. This isn't just about learning finance. It's about learning judgment. We can't build this firm on spreadsheets alone. We build it on decisions. Smart ones, ethical ones, hard ones. He gestured to the city skyline outside. Look out there. You see buildings. But what I see are problems waiting to be solved. And people who need those solutions done right. So 10 no M, boardroom, Green and Miles. Capital Ethan sat near the end of the long, glossy table, while 15 senior executives discussed a failing manufacturing company in Indiana that the firm had invested in years ago. The CFO spoke sharply. The numbers are clear. We cut our losses, liquidate the assets. Another executive nodded. It's not profitable anymore. End of story. Walter Green leaned back, then turned toward Ethan. Mr. Brooks, what's your take? Every head in the room turned toward him. Ethan swallowed once, then straightened. I come from a town just like that. When the factory shut down, it wasn't just jobs that disappeared. It was schools, grocery stores, families. Communities fall apart. He paused. There's more than one bottom line. If we can restructure, partner with the local government, or retool the plant, maybe we don't make the fastest return, but we protect the people, and that builds trust in the long run. Silence. Then Green smiled. That, he said, is the kind of perspective we need more of. He turned to the table. We'll form a committee. Mr. Brooks will co-chair it. With Mr. Alvarez, let's find a better solution. Ethan sat at his desk, reflecting. Across from him, the skyline shimmered in the sunlight. The very streets he'd trudged through, soaked and defeated, now felt like home. There were still moments he didn't believe it. That helping a stranger had led him here. Green's voice echoed in his mind. You didn't miss your opportunity. In the storm, you discovered the one no resume could ever give you. He smiled, booted up his laptop, and got to work. Success didn't come because Ethan showed up on time. It came because he showed up for someone else when it counted. A world chasing profit, he had chosen character. And that choice gave him everything he thought he had lost.